It's Dad. Dad watches horror movies right in front of you on the TV screen. Subscribe to it. YouTube channel Dad Watches Horror Movies. It is time for my reflections on my first 11 episodes. You see that Christmas tree? It is January, and I don't care, I haven't even taken it down. So, time for a reflection video. And what better way to have a reflection video than to do it running out of my house and into my hot tub. Reflection video in the hot tub. In the hot tub. In the hot tub. Ooh, that's hot. Yes. Hey, it's Dad. And I'm in the hot tub. Let's talk reflections. Reflections from Dad Watches Horror Movies. What better way to reflect on episodes 1 through 11 than to do it in a hot tub? Or at least until I get too hot in the hot tub. Ooh, getting hot in the hot tub. Getting hot in the hot tub. That's right. It's getting hot in the hot tub. Some hot takes from Dad Watches Horror Movies, episodes 1 through 11. Let's reflect. I didn't even plan a script. I'm just gonna talk. So this is the nice little introduction. And now maybe let's talk about how I decided to get this thing started. I love horror movies. I wanted to do something on YouTube. I tried doing some things and stuff. I wanted to think about doing something, show everybody that I really like horror movies. Do something I enjoy. I'm a full-time dad, of course. Got a full-time job, plus my 2 kids. They're 6 and 8 right now. I'm happily married, living in a nice house, and I want to do something that I enjoy, and I want to try to share that with other people, and maybe, turn this into something here. Have a good time doing it, and so far I am. I've done 11 episodes so far, and I'm pretty happy about them. So I'm an amateur YouTuber, of course, and I had a couple folks ask me, why do I video record the TV from my phone for these videos? And the answer is kind of simple, I guess, but for one thing, I don't have tons of time. All right, having the kids with their activities, having a full-time job, trying to manage this house, it's a lot of work. I don't have a lot of time. So, for one thing, it's simple. But, actually, the other reason was I think it's pretty special because I want it to be like, I don't know if any of you have ever seen Mystery Science Theater, but I want it to be kind of like that, to where you feel like you're sitting there with me watching this movie and I'm just commentating on what I see. So, you see my perspective of what I'm watching, and that's why I do it that way. So I think it works, and I think it's different, and I have this whole dad perspective. I'm gonna push this dad thing to the limit here and just say, I'm a dad, and I watch horror movies when my kids are asleep because they're too young to watch this stuff. My wife doesn't care for horror movies at all, so I've always loved them, and that's why I want to do this. Hopefully once my kids get older, they can watch them with me. But right now, they're too young. So I decided, before I had this idea in my head, just kicking it around of, how should I do this? And I like the idea of me kind of having some kind of different intro for every single one. You think of The Simpsons, and every time they run into that couch, it's something different. That's what I want. It's not going to be too long. Some of them are a little bit long, but I want them to be nice and short and sweet, like a minute or two. of me just, getting into my house to watch that TV. Different ways every time. I know it's going to start getting harder because I'm already trying to think of some things, and sometimes I go blank, but sometimes it's extremely spontaneous. So that's how I thought of that, and that's why I keep doing that. And my kids will be more and more involved with it as well. Also, I watch these movies at night. Well, my wife works nights, so she's either asleep sometimes or she's at work, and my kids are in bed, so I'm closing all the doors. I gotta listen to it loud. I need it loud, and hopefully they don't wake up. A few times they have. In one of my episodes, episode 3, which is where I watched Bad Moon, my daughter woke up, and I kind of wish I had her initial expression, because she woke up and I quickly turned off the camera and paused the show. But then I realized, paused the movie, this is gonna be some good footage. So I put it back on, showed the screen paused, and we went from there. They have woke up a few other times. It's mostly my daughter. My son sleeps through everything. So, but that was kind of the deal with that. And now I kind of want to explain each episode 1 through 11. And I did it 1 through 11 because, everybody does, ooh, episode 10, ooh, let's do a reflection. No, episode 11, all right? 11 episodes, a lucky number, it's a happy number. Every 11 episodes, I want to give you a reflection. If I can get to episode 22, which I plan on getting to, you're going to see another reflection about that. So, next, I want to talk about episode 1. My first horror movie that I'm going to watch on my YouTube channel, Dad Watches Horror Movies, is The Strangers Pray at Night. So, I didn't know how my style was going to be. I went back and watched the episode a few times, and after looking at it, there was a lot of silence going on. A lot of times where I just let the movie go, and you can hear the score, you can hear the dialogue, and I don't know, it was a little different way. I was trying to get in my groove, my dad groove. So, was a little shy, but I thought it worked. I thought it was a good pilot episode for myself, and to see, how this is going to work out. Had the simple introduction of me running into the house. So, and I chose Strangers because, for one, it was recent. 2018 was when it was released. And I haven't seen that one yet. I saw the first Strangers. It was okay. So I was like, you know what? What a great way to get my first episode up and running with watching a movie I haven't seen before, that I have seen the original. This was the sequel, so I know a little bit about it, and also, something current, so I can capture the crowd. So, anyway, I thought it was a successful first episode. It has over 100 views now, which is nice, and that was pretty much it. It's Dad. Episode 2 of Dad Watches Horror Movies. I'm gonna watch Slumber Party Massacre. I had to go back to my roots of horror, back to 1980s horror, which started it all for me. When I was a kid, me and a couple of my buddies would always watch the horror movie. Find that one on the shelf, the one that looks cool, the one that looks gross, and watch it. And Slumber Party Massacre was one that I never watched. So I thought for episode 2, it would be great to go back to my 80s core and watch a new 80s movie, new to me 80s movie, and make sure it was a slasher too. I need some corny slashing. And Slumber Party Massacre was great. I loved it. I loved the episode. I did not plan the duels in the pools to happen on The Strangers and Slumber Party Massacre. That was just an uncanny similarity to both of those. and I was amazed. The ending of Slumber Party Massacre was excellent. This is where I kind of started coming into my own for episode 2. I enjoyed recording it. You know, I just enjoyed just doing it. It's fun. You know, I like to talk. So, you know, I'm not one to talk through a movie when I'm watching it with you if you're sitting alongside of me, but, you know, I like getting that commentary out there. And this is fresh commentary, people. This is not scripted. I haven't seen Slumber Party Massacre, so you got the first time me watching it with my first impressions and expressions. So, episode 2, love the movie. It is now in my top 80s horror movies for sure. So, one of the my top list. I have a horror movie list that I keep track of on letterboxd.com that are my favorite horror movies of all time, and Slumber Party Massacre made it. Also, The Strangers Pray at Night made it too. So, on to commentary and reflections of episode 3. 1, 2, 3. Hey, it's Dad with another episode of Dad Watches Horror Movies. Episode 3. Dad Watches Bad Moon. Episode 3. Dad Watches Bad Moon. This is my most popular episode. I'm kind of not sure why. It was edited for copyright. So I'm going to get into my spiel about the edited for copyright stuff. 3 of my episodes are edited for copyright. And I don't know this until I upload the video and it lets me know, hey, this specific segment of your video is copyrighted. And so what I ended up doing is the certain sequences that are copywritten, I block off and I put a little message there saying copyrighted material by so-and-so. I don't want to get in trouble. I want to give the information that needs to be given. I want to give credit to where credit is due, and that's for the copyrights. So I'm doing this for fun. This is a great time, and I want to do these movies do justice, or good justice, for what they're doing and giving me content to roll with. So, but I don't know that they're copywritten until I post the movie and finish the episode. I could do research beforehand and find out what specific sequences are, but I don't want to do that. I don't got time. I'm a dad. I got a full-time job, all that crap. So, you know, let's just do it. And in the future, I found out that your best bet is to go with movies that are at least 10 years old and are from independent or not so popular studio productions. So, like all that old 80s horror stuff and the more obscure horror movies, I'm gonna start doing from now on, because I don't want to have blocked copyright material, even though I've had lots of requests to do popular movies, and I've shied away from it because of the copyright. And I don't want to put out an episode with a dark screen and me just talking. I know it might be kind of cool to some people to say, ooh, it makes me want to watch the scene, but you know, I don't want to do it that way. I've had requests for Zombieland and the new It, and I don't even want to try to even jump onto those because they're just going to be blocked. So, like Cooties was, and also my latest episode, a Christmas Horror Story, was blocked. Well, not blocked, it was copyright material, so I had to post it blank over the dark screen. So anyway, Bad Moon. I don't know why this is my most popular video. I think it's because my daughter woke up and I had footage of her, like not her, you can't see her because it's dark, but of her crying and being scared. So the story behind this one is, I close all the doors to my family room and put the kids to bed and make sure they're asleep before I start doing this, because I like listening to, it loud on stereo, and I got to make sure it plays through the phone because you're there with me, you're sitting there with me watching this thing. And it was loud, and it was the initial sequence in Bad Moon where the werewolf attacks and kills this guy's girlfriend or fiance or wife, whatever. And brutal scene, excellent scene, graphic. The practical effects are just beautiful on this werewolf. So I'm watching that scene, and all of a sudden I hear my daughter just screaming in the background, and she's looking through the kitchen. She must have been standing there watching that brutal scene with me and all the blood and everything, and she just screamed. I immediately stopped the camera and comforted her, and then I was like, you know what, I need to start rolling this camera again, because this is Dad watches horror movies, and I watch this stuff when my kids are asleep. We need to be real right now. You need to know what's going on, what's real in Dad's house, in horror movie Dad's house. So I rolled the camera halfway through her spiel, and she said she was scared and all this stuff, and you can see the movie paused. Good footage at my daughter's expense. I apologize, Michaela, but I believe that's why this episode is so popular. It's got 400 plus views now, and it's climbing fast. My most popular video so far, Dad watches Bad Moon episode 3. So, but there's copywritten sequences, copyrighted sequences. I don't know how to say it. Anyway, there's some, but you get the picture. But Bad Moon, best practical effects on a werewolf I've ever seen. It's up there with An American Werewolf in London. That's some good practical effects too. But this was just blew me away. I had no idea. I haven't seen Bad Moon either, so I had no idea. And this was a Universal picture too, so that's why there was copyright material with it. Hey, it's Dad here with another Dad Watches Horror Movies. Dad watches Final Exam. Hot in that hot tub, so I'm sitting on the edge here. Episode 4, Final Exam, another 1980s horror flick, going back to my 80s roots. 4th episode I haven't seen in a row. I kind of like doing these episodes of movies that I haven't seen. So you get my initial reactions. It's genuine Dad. Final Exam, another underrated slasher. And I was happy with it. The slasher was just like an average guy with a pumpkin pie haircut. He had a bowl haircut. He wasn't even in shape, and this guy was taking out football players in college. Like, he took out that one guy, I think, what was his name? Thad? Was that his? No, I don't know. I don't think his name was Thad. That's a different movie. I'm sorry. Maybe it is. I don't know. You can tell me in the comments if I'm wrong. But he took him out in the weight room like, dude, you ain't got nothing on me. Surprisingly, though, the cinematography and Final Exam, like, low-budget film, but great cinematography. Like, the guy in the background, like, way up in the water tower, and the other, I think I mentioned this during the episode, but the other time where he's in the middle of the basketball court and the lights turn on, he's just standing there. So this had some good comedy in it though too, like the dude hanging in the locker, and when sorry, I'm going quick here. I'll slow down. When the killer jumps out of that garbage can. Dude, primo scenes, prime movie, prime 80s. I'm glad I watched it. This was a recommendation from one of my buddies too. Ryan Sang, if you're out there, man, good recommendation, man. You got to give props to Ryan Sang. He was one of my friends from back in the day who was a horror movie junkie just like me, and he still is. So, anyway, let's move on. Episode 5. It's Dad again, back with another episode of Dad Watches Horror Movies. Dad watches Bloody Birthday. I wasn't too impressed with Bloody Birthday, another 80s one, another one I haven't seen before. I've seen a lot of horror movies, guys, and these ones I haven't seen, so don't give me crap. All you your horror movie junkies out there, so you haven't seen that yet? Well, no, I haven't. So, but I bet you there's some horror movies that I've seen that you haven't too. So hey, thumbs up, horror movie guys and gals. We know what's up. Horror movie community runs strong and thick in our blood. I'm digressing here from episode 5, Bloody Birthday. Wasn't convinced. These kids were way too smart. hot wiring cars, disabling home security systems. It didn't work for me, but still had the 80s vibe. And this movie, actually, my daughter woke up again. But she woke up when I wasn't recording, because I record, so I never really explained how I record this thing. I don't record the entire time and just comment. I record randomly. And if I see something, like I'm watching a movie, I'm like, oh, I need to record that. I'll rewind it a bit and record it, and then get my true thought, and then you can get my thoughts on it. So there is some little prep work sometimes, but also if I'm anticipating something coming up, like the score kicks in, or it's the ending, or I'm just thinking something's happening, I'm just gonna roll camera, and then you're gonna get genuine thoughts. But sometimes I don't think that, and all of a sudden something happens, I'm like, wait, I gotta get this on camera, so I rewind it and do it. But with the movies I've seen before, I know what's gonna come up, so I record and boom, we'll do it. My daughter did wake up on this one, but I wasn't rolling the camera, so I had to go back to bed. And this time, she wasn't seeing what I was doing, she just heard it and told me to turn it off. And almost every night now I get from my daughter. My son never wakes up. Knock on wood, I don't have any right here. My fence behind me's got wood, I'll knock on that later. But my daughter, every time before we go to bed, she's like, "You're not gonna do Dad watches horror movies tonight, are you?" So, and if I am, I tell her, I'm like, I'll close all the doors, I'll be quiet, just go to sleep. So, it's getting better with that, but I'm still gonna keep doing what I'm doing. So, episode 5 was a good feat. You know, that's 5 episodes, was going strong. The views are starting to drop. I think the initial curiosity of Dad Watches Horror Movies channel, why my first 3 episodes are really popular, but now I got my true followers who keep watching, and it's growing. It's growing little by little. And if you haven't seen me yet, please do so. I suggest you subscribe. I'm doing something unique here. Like I said before in my introduction to my this Reflections video, is that it's like Mystery Science Theater, but you're sitting there with me. You're getting a perspective from a dad who's got kids and a family and a wife and a house and a mortgage and payments and a bunch of busy crap, and I need some time to unwind. So anyway, Bloody Birthday, back to it. It wasn't a bloody birthday movie, because during the birthday party, nothing happened and it wasn't bloody. A lot of frosting, it was very frosting-y, but not bloody. So I'm getting hot. I'm gonna get out of the hot tub, I'm gonna dry off, and my arm's getting tired, and I'll continue. But I did have some questions from some people who were wondering, you know, I do my introductions and stuff, and I make sure they're different every time. We're wondering where I get my kind of the wilderness things, and I'm actually, my house is kind of overlooks a mini canyon where I live, and I got trees and kind of brush and wilderness along the front and sides of my house. So that's kind of the deal with that. I'll explain episode 6. We'll reflect on episode 6 after I get out of this hot tub. So thanks for sticking with me. Hope you still keep sticking with me through my Reflections video. It's probably pretty long so far, but I'm gonna keep going. I like to talk. So stick with me, keep watching. We'll come back with Reflections of episode 6. Thanks for hanging in there. Oh, I'm dying. Oh, it's Dad. About to watch another horror movie with all of you. Today, Dad watches Cooties on Dad Watches Horror Movies. All right, I'm back inside and ready to go for Reflections of episode 6. Dad watches Cooties. I'm sitting in my chair that I like to partake in watching movies and recording Dad Watches Horror Movies. So, Cooties was another episode that had a bunch of sequences cut out because of copyrighted material, including the entire ending plus the credits where I was talking. You know, I like to end my episodes with my face and the credits rolling in the background on the TV. I could not even show the credits. The credits were a copyright in Cooties. And the entire ending was a copyright in Cooties as well. Cooties was a good movie. of course, it had some big actors in it, made by a big studio. So, I had a feeling that this one was going to have copyright sequences as well. But I ended up filming my introduction to Cooties before I even thought of that. So I filmed my introduction. I really liked the introduction of Cooties as it ran kind of from my garage around the backyard and into my living room. I had that filmed already before I decided to sit down and actually start recording me watching Cooties. So I had to follow through with it. I knew for sure there was going to be some copyright content. I didn't think they would copyright the credits though. And the other one that has a bunch of actually the entire movie, A Christmas Horror Story. The entire movie is copyright, and except I could do the credits. So, but with Cooties, I couldn't do the credits. And speaking of Cooties, I thought it was hilarious. Elijah Wood was great. And the ending, I kind of wished I could show the ending with, was it Rainn Wilson kind of just blowing up the entire, indoor play structure with all the kids in it. So, and then the final scene of Elijah Wood driving that truck into the kid. I wish you could see that, but you can hear my reaction. So, I had a couple people tell me that they enjoyed that the scene was blacked out because it made them want to watch the movie because of my reactions. So, mostly when I make these Dad Watches Horror Movies episodes, I am doing it to those that I believe have already seen the movie. So, 'cause it's a big spoiler. All it is, each one of these episodes is a huge spoiler on the movie because it's cut and paste job, and it shortens a movie from like an hour and a half down to like 20 to 30 minutes, maybe even 40 minutes. And so I just show all the plot points and the cool parts, and I commentate on them. So they're spoilers, and I believe people that watch these episodes have already seen these movies, and so they can see my reaction to something they've already seen. However, one of my friends in particular, and a few others said that they liked that the copyright, material was there and it was blacked out because they haven't seen the movie, and it made them want to see it even more because of my commentary. So that was a new twist on my episodes that I didn't even intend. So, but me personally, I want to stay away from that. I want to have a pure video, no copyright infringements, anything like that. So I want to do this by the book. I want to do it right and give credit to where credit is deserved and is due. Hello, everyone. It's Dad, ready to watch another horror movie with you. The Evil. Episode 7. Dad Watches The Evil. I enjoyed making this episode. It was fun. It was fun to watch, even though I did not care for it at the end. The conclusion was a huge bummer. It was trash. I'm sorry. The conclusion was trash, and it almost ruined the entire movie for me, but I had a good time watching this and commentating on it because there was so much cheese. I love the cheesy horror movies, and then, if they mix good horror with cheese, it's just perfect. Horror cheese gets me every time, and The Evil had a lot of it. I know, especially, I called him Bulge Guy. I don't even remember who the actor was. I know I wrote a review about him about this on Letterboxd and got all the actors' names, whatever. But this guy, man, he just had me the whole time, and I called him Bulge Guy throughout the entire episode, and it really caught on to a lot of people. I had some of my friends always just saying Bulge Guy all the time, and I think that guy, those pants that he was wearing, just pushing out his bulge, you just think of David Bowie from The Labyrinth. Okay? Come on now. Anyway, let's get off of the bulge talk. and talk about that nasty conclusion. Maybe we know it. I don't even want to talk about the conclusion. It was bad. But this was one of my favorite episodes um, that I've recorded, or the favorite episode. Not my favorite episode after I recorded, but while I was recording it, it was my favorite. I had a good time watching it and a good time commentating on it. That's all I got to say about that one. Let's move on. Back with another episode of Dad Watches Horror Movies. This time, Dad is watching Brain Damage. 1988, another 80s horror movie, my favorite. The golden gravy decade of horror movies. And that's what a lot of what you're going to get from Dad Watches Horror Movies. Episode 8, Brain Damage. Oh man. I'm surprised. Well, I'm not surprised. I think this movie, this episode might get flagged. If it does, whatever. If it doesn't, I don't think it should be. But because of the scene in this of what's the character's name? I can't believe I forgot his name. Anyway, the main character, he's getting taken over by this worm, this alien worm. The alien worm's named Elmer, and he gives him like this special trippy juice into his brain, and it makes him trip out like he's on crazy LSD. So the one scene, which is on this episode. He wanders into the club. He's all LSD'd out, tripping out, dancing, hooks up with the girl. She's digging him. They go up to the roof of this club and they start making out and stuff like that. One thing leads to another. She starts to go down on him. Okay? The worm comes out of Brian. That's his name, Brian. The worm comes out of Brian's pants, where the zipper is, like it's his penis, and comes out, and the worm shoves himself into the lady's mouth, like down her throat, and eats her brain through her mouth. And is that a blowjob? It's my biggest question. Like, is Brian getting a blowjob? Is this a blowjob scene? Well, technically, Brian is not getting a blowjob. But I believe this is a blowjob scene because the worm is going into her mouth and not him, not Brian going into her mouth. This is a subject. This is a topic. This needs to be argued. This needs to be discussed. And maybe one day I'll get someone to discuss it with me and we'll just argue about this entire scene. About, is it appropriate? Well, of course it's not appropriate, but is it appropriate scene to be in an R-rated film? Okay. Anyway, that's topic for another day. And I would love to chat about this on a podcast or with somebody. Maybe one time I'll just do a special video of me just discussing this with somebody or whatever. So I don't want to talk too deeply into that, but Brain Damage was freaking weird. Weird ass movie, but weird is good. Weird is great in horror. The practical effects are there. The weirdness is there. I still don't know what to think. I am in and out about Brain Damage, in and out like that girl with Elmer in her mouth. Ooh. All right, come on, back to dad life here. All right, so let's move on to episode 9. Why, hello again. It's Dad, back with another episode of Dad Watches Horror Movies. Demon Wind, one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Episode 9. This is my Halloween episode. And this was of Demon Wind. Demon Wind is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. very underrated in my opinion, a diamond in the rough type movie, and not many have seen it. People are starting to watch it now because it's available on streaming services. It was on Amazon Prime and Shudder, I believe. I don't think it's on there anymore, but it was on there. Um, this movie was not popular at all. It barely was even printed on DVD. It was on VHS though, but one of my favorites for sure. And I think this is the first episode on Dad Watches Horror Movies that I've actually seen before, so I knew it was coming. And it's extra long. It's like 40 minutes long because like this entire movie is just brilliant in my mind for 80s horror, but it's not 80s, it's 1990. So it bridged the gap pretty well. It bridges the gap from 80s to 90s horror nicely. As I said in the episode, sometimes I'm sorry if I repeat myself of some of the things I've said in the episode, but this one was intended to be watched for my Halloween episode. I love Halloween, my favorite time of year. I was born October 30th, so I grew up with Halloween, and it's my favorite. I love horror movies, etc. That's why I do this crap. I'm gonna repeat this again, but Harcourt is the coolest, creepy old guy out of any horror movie ever made. And we can argue about this if you really want to. But he is, man. Nothing surpasses him in my mind with just his mannerisms and his voice and the way he speaks when he's warning them all not to go to the farm at the gas station. Oh, man. Black blood on the walls, blood everywhere, figures laughing, coming at me. Oh, Harcourt, you're the man. So, Demon Wind, I recommend it. The ending is cheesy as hell and stupid as hell. It almost ruins the movie for a lot of people. And that's why this didn't get the notoriety it deserves, because that ending makes no frickin' sense. At all. 0 sense. I don't know who wrote the ending. Anyone could have wrote a better ending, but I don't care. Demon Wind also has a great bunch of characters. Like, I love them all. They're all great for what they do, and they all have their own little quirks. It's excellent. It's excellent horror writing, and it looks so cheesy and dumb. It works perfectly. You like my hand going back and forth to reiterate that it's working perfectly? Look at it. All right. There's snowflakes behind me, by the way. That's a window. There's snowflakes on my window. I haven't cleaned up my Christmas stuff yet. It's January. Give me a break. Got a lot of other more important things I need to do. Like take my kids to school and practice and stuff. Get off my back. Episode 10's coming. Reflection of it. Hey, it's Dad! Here with another episode of Dad Watches Horror Movies. This time, Dad is watching Blood Rage, a slasher. 1980s. The best, as I've said plenty of times. Plenty. Episode 10. This was the Thanksgiving episode. And there ain't a better Thanksgiving horror movie than Blood Rage. Nothing even comes close to Blood Rage. This is an excellent slasher. This is a very, very underrated slasher. You saw my hand over there because I'm throwing my hands around. Can't even speak now. I've been talking so much today. But I'm reflecting on my videos because I think I need to. Because I think you want me to. Okay, Blood Rage. Terry, one of my favorite slashers. I would say if it wasn't for Jason Voorhees is my favorite slasher of all time, but it's so cliche. Everybody loves Jason Voorhees. You know what? Terry, if there was no Jason Voorhees, Terry from Blood Rage is my favorite slasher. The guy just oozes charisma. oozes it. Like his one-liners and he's all happy-go-lucky while he's killing people. It's like a big joke and game to him, and he's having a good time, skipping around, laughing, smiling, making jokes. Dude, Terry is a winner. Dude's a winner, even though he ends up losing at the end. But also Terry's mom. Oh man, I can't get enough of Terry. Terry's mom is hilarious. That screechy voice and always just going through a mental breakdown the entire movie. This is one of the best slashers ever made. And if you haven't seen it, really watch Blood Rage. It's a good one. Episode 10. Oh, also, I planned this one out too. This was the first episode that my kids were in. They helped me with the introduction. I talked to them. We did that in one take. A 6 and an 8-year-old kid and their father did that in one take. I thought for sure it was going to take at least like 4 to do this. We planned it out. I talked to him. I'm like, okay, I told my daughter, you're going to be running around from behind the car. Once I start running, and my son, once I open the door, you're going to be there and you're going to go, surprise. My kids did it perfectly. One take. And I had this plan at the beginning. They so wanted to do it. They were so into it. My daughter loves that mask that I let her wear. And my son just doesn't want to get rid of that Jason mask either. So they are probably going to make another appearance in an introduction or somewhere in a Dad Watches Horror Movies episodes with those masks on. So stay tuned for that. But I welcome my kids. They're starting to enjoy it. So, it was a good thing. Good thing. Now we'll move on to episode 11 and the last episode in my Dad Reflects video. It's Dad back with another episode of Dad Watches Horror Movies. This time, Dad watches A Christmas Horror Story. I decided to sit forward for this one. Episode 11, Dad Watches A Christmas Horror Story. I'm disappointed at my latest episode. Not because what I did, but because the whole thing was a copyright. I was thinking that A Christmas Horror Story was kind of undercover to where there wouldn't be so much copyright, but the entire movie was a copyright to show any footage of any part of the movie at all besides the credits. The ending credits, they wouldn't even let me show the beginning credits. So, which is fun, which is fun. I'm not giving A Christmas Horror Story a bad name because of it, or, people copyright their material for good reason, and I understand that. So I'm not mad at them at all. I'm just upset that that it was my latest episode to end the year. I ended the year on this one, and it was good. I thought my commentary was pretty good. I've been getting a lot better at this commentary stuff, and I think I have. I don't know if you've noticed, but I know I feel more comfortable doing it at least. I don't know if I've gotten better, but I feel more comfortable with it. But this whole entire one was copyright, so you can watch it. You can watch my introduction, and you can watch my conclusion, but you can't watch anything in the middle. But at least you can hear what I'm saying. And so if you haven't seen A Christmas Horror Story, maybe you can watch this episode and, just kind of hear my my gripes or my my pluses and minuses, whatever, of the movie. So, but don't worry, because I'm going to be coming with an episode 12 and so on, and I'm going to stay away from the copyright material. If more copyright material does come up on here, then I'm just going to give the credit where the credit is due again and black it out, etc. So, like I said, I don't want to steal any content. I'm not about that. I'm just here to have a good time and show you all a good time as a regular dad watching horror movies with all of you on my couch. Get my perspective. You know, I was born in the 80s, so I have I'm 80s horror movies to the core. Um, so you know, I was born 81. Ooh, it just got bright. Uh, my TV just went into a screensaver mode. Um, there we go. So what was I saying? I was born in 81, so you know, I love the 80s horror. Even in the 90s, I was even going back and watching all that 80s stuff. So anyway, thank you. If you're a subscriber, thank you so much for subscribing. If you're not a subscriber, please do so. Subscribe. Go to my Dad Watches Horror Movies channel. Subscribe. You can even hit the little face that's in the bottom corner of this video. It has my face. That will automatically get you to subscribe. And I'll probably have, there's a little subscribe button at the end of this video as well you can hit. If you haven't seen any of my episodes, or I've only seen a few of them, go back and watch them. And I would suggest watching them in order from 1 through 11 and not jumping around, because then you can see the evolution of my commentary and so on. I also have on my page, I have Dad Reads Horror Movie Reviews. I like to write horror movie reviews and other movie reviews sometimes on my letterboxd.com account. It's an app too, Letterboxd app. I like to write horror movie reviews on there as well, and so I read them and stuff, just some extra content. And you might see some other extra content on there as well. You know, my buddy Kenny, K. De Niro, another guy I've watched horror movies a lot with and had some good times back in the days watching horror movies with that guy. He convinced me to do that Bean Boozled Jelly Beans challenge or whatever on New Year's Eve. So we recorded that raw and unedited, and I just threw it up on my page. It has nothing to do with horror movies, but it's just content from me, so might as well throw it up. So you might get, every once in a while, you might get some bonus material of random things that I'm doing or whatnot. So, but please just stay tuned to my channel, subscribe to my channel. Check out my Instagram, which is gaining a lot of followers. It's @HorrorMovieDad. I post a bunch of images there, random images of horror movies, things I'm doing, etc., etc. Also, post stories on there too. I'm really into doing those Instagram stories and doing some fun things with that. So check that out. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing, and thank you so much for liking this, and keep coming back, because I'll keep making more material. As long as I have people that are interested in this, I'll keep doing it, because I'm interested in doing it. You know, I want to let everybody know that this is what I like to do, and I hope you like to do it along with me. And also, I am featured on a podcast on Night Shift Video. It's NITE Shift Video. So I'll be, I was interviewed by James, and that should be posted up, or I think it is already posted up on his YouTube account, and also wherever podcasts are played. So Spotify, NITE Shift Video, Night Shift Video. It's on Spotify. It's on Google Podcasts. It's he's got a YouTube channel, so check it out. I was interviewed on there, and I appreciate that. And let's just keep this thing going. I thank the horror community. You guys are awesome. We always kind of stick together, and it's kind of a cool thing going on here, and I enjoy it. And I thank you all for your support. And keep watching, because you're going to have a lot more from Dad. And I will see you next time on Dad Reflects on Horror Movie Episodes. No music to play me out.
Are you watching? Are you watching Dad Watches Horror Movies on YouTube? You should.
Dad Watches Horror Movies on YouTube is a good channel to be watching. You should subscribe